Lesson 5, will EKHS girls soccer team win? Today we're going to continue on day 3 of binomial random variables and continue learning more about it. All right, so first of all, it asks, I have at the end of the game, basically what happened is these two teams tied, and the EKHS girls soccer team now are faced with a shoot-off, it's called. And so there are 5 shots that they are to attempt, and they found of the long-term probability that an average make percentage is 60%. And it says, is this a binomial random variable? So the first thing we're going to try is our acronym of SPIT. And yes, you'll see that this one here of BINS, it's another acronym, means the same thing. Another publisher uses it. This is the one I use, though, and that's what we're going to be using in this class. S is success, failure, make or miss. P is probability is 0.6. I is independent, each shot's independent, and N is 5 shots. So yes, this is absolutely binomial. All right, calculate the probability that they make exactly 3 shots. So if you can't remember, go from yesterday's, look at it, try to do it, and then go from there. So I have P, X equals 3, 5 choose 3. Remember, just a reminder, 5 choose 3 is the same as 5 choose 3. And in your calculator, it looks like NCR 5, 3. Also, we found on our calculator we used yesterday, binomial PDF. And we put all these N equals 5, P equals 0.6, and X equals 3, and you're going to get the same thing as here. You do need to know how to write it out for the test, though, so please continue to practice writing it out with this in this formula form for the test. Okay, for the next one, do the same thing for 4, and then the next one for 5, and it says the other team's expected to make 2 shots. So if they make 2 shots, then if I made 3, 4, or 5, I would win, and so the probability is just adding all those up. This one here is called a CDF on your calculator. CDF, the C means cumulative, it means add them all up. And that's going to be, if you notice, it's menu, stats, distribution, B, because this is A. If you get there, it's menu, stat, distribution, and it's B. And it has a lower bound, and my lower bound in this case would be, okay, the minimum I want to make is 3 shots, the upper bound, the maximum I make is 5 shots, and the probability is 0.6, and I have 5 attempts. That is what you're going to put in your calculator in order to get this 0.683 if you'd like to do a shortcut. It also introduces this as an applet. I want you to see this applet here, and that's on StatsMedic. And what that does here, sorry about that, that goes here, go back here. And let's come to the applets. If you want to see here, resources, we have applets, and we're going to go to the binomial distribution calculator. So I want to show you this because if you don't have a calculator at home and you're trying to do some homework, these are pretty handy. So this one here, we had 5 shots, and the probability is 0.6. So plot distribution, it gives you my graph, and you can see it gives you your mean and your standard deviation. Well, the next question says, what's the probability that you're going to, how can you use the app if you find the probability of winning? So if I said, what's the probability of winning at least 3? I could go down here and say, okay, what's the probability of winning at least, go down here, at least 3, and then I hit go, and it gives it to me, and it highlights it. So some other cool things I can do, of course, is with your mouse, or you know, you can tap and highlight, and you can see, oh, that's a probability of 2 happening. You can do it yourself, and it continues to compute the probability. So this is really handy. Again, I'm on statsmedic.com. I went to resources, I went to applets, and then I went to binomial distribution. Okay, so how do I use the app? Is I just kind of add them up. I could add at least 3 successes and use that, or I could add them up on my graph. Find and interpret the mean and standard deviation. So on this one here, it gave you the mean and standard deviation, but the way that is if you, the mean is NP, and the standard deviation is a square root of NP times 1 minus P. If you take your finger and hit it in the middle of your formula chart in my room, it's the very middle formula. And if you look to the left, it says binomial, and these are the 3 formulas for the binomial. And so for this, we get the mean of 3 and the standard deviation of 1.095. And the mean, if you describe it, it's just the average number of goals that this team is going to win after or make after they've tried many times. And the standard deviation is just the average distance that they are from the mean. So for the learning targets today, just repeating again your formula, and I want you to see that this formula here, this n choose x is the same as ncx. You can write it any way, and it's going to be the probability of success and the probability of failure. And add up all the probabilities to get when we have at least, exactly, and at most. And then you can see the average is NP, and the typical, how far it varies typically, is my square root of NP 1 minus P. You can see this here. I told you that another publisher uses bins. I use spit. You can use either one. But this is, if you read this, it's asking what's the probability of getting a 3 in this particular one. And so this is success failure. So this is 3 or not 3. Yes, which is this one. Probability the same is down here, 4 to 52. Independent is here. Yes, one doesn't affect the next. And then there are 250 people attempting. So this is, yes, it is binomial. Okay, so to do technology, you could definitely go ahead and use binomial CDF. And to get to binomial CDF, menu, stat, distribution, binomial CDF, which is B. And your lower bound here is going to be 10 or fewer people, so the least amount of people is 0. Upper bound is going to be 10. And your number of people, of course, it's asking for 250, and the probability is 4 out of 52. The mean is just my n, and that's my p. And my standard deviation is my n, my p, and my 1 minus p. And then, of course, described as the average number of people that will win, and then the standard deviation of about varied from 4.2 people. What that means is if this is all my data, this here is about 19.23, and then plus 4 is about 23, and minus 4 is about 15. It's showing that I have some data over here, but most of my data is going to be right here. That's what that means. All right, I hope this helps, and we'll see you in next lesson.